Alabama, and an early Merry Christmas to you all. I'm Sedona Meadows, and this is the Fox 54 Week in Review. Here's a look ahead to the next half hour as we look back on the last 7 days. Of course, our big focus will be on Christmas in the Tennessee Valley, and you'll see how some children with special sensory needs get to experience the joy of the holidays without being overwhelmed. And we'll talk about keeping that fresh Christmas tree free from fire hazards as we move through the season. We're also talking about new digs for the new year by way of a new playground for a Huntsville park and a new location for the Food Bank of North Alabama. But we'll start this week in review with a year in review. Huntsville city leaders take a look at the successes and growth within the city limits over the course of 2023 and where they hope to improve over the next 12 months.
This was a year of balancing the need of the citizens out there.
This year, the city of Huntsville found a sense of balance.
We brought in a lot of jobs the last couple of years, and we're in an enviable position. We were able to bring in almost more jobs than we had people to fill them. So this year has been the working on quality of life, bringing people into the community, making them want to be a part of our community. These are people from all over the world who end up coming to Huntsville, Alabama to make a living and to make some projects that are really, really special.
In my sit down with Mayor Battle, we discussed a few notable openings that happened this year that added to the quality of life experience.
I think some of our biggest projects were quality of life projects. The soccer stadium, finishing up the soccer stadium, the skateboard park, the idea that we had the kids' place. All that was important. But also the roads that got started this year, the Northern Bypass, Maston Lake Overpass, which started under construction this year. That was really important. And we've been able to work on both infrastructure, how we get around in the city and how we get from here to there.
Dennis Madsen touched on the connection of current road projects and the addition of more mixed-use developments.
We like to support more mixed-use development in developments like Mid-City or Hayes Farm. Those are the kinds of projects that create kind of activity centers that take a little pressure off traffic, create more kind of interesting neighborhoods for people to kind of get engaged in. Those are kind of two of the bigger projects we've seen recently, but we're also seeing, the new Huntsville City Schools development happening on North Parkway, as well as the Drake property development happening out in the Cove areas.
With quality of life the focus, Mayor Battle highlights how the range of projects help to add to the value of everyone's reality.
Quality of life is something new is something different to everybody. So some people it's a greenway, some people it's a park. To others it is a skateboard park, and to others it's the soccer stadium. So all of it kind of ties together to your picture of why you want to be part of Huntsville. We took lessons from other cities. We looked at other cities which had heavy music emphasis, Nashville, Austin, Texas, some of the others. And it's a reason to give a great perception of your city. When you look at a city and say, wow, honey, we got a chance to go to Huntsville, Alabama. And they say, wow, that's where Stevie Nicks played on Halloween night.
Quality of life doesn't stop at projects.
Some of the artists that have been here, all that ties into your perception of your city and why do you want to be part of a city.
Huntsville's tourism saw a significant boost this year. 2023
has been a great year for the hospitality industry, for tourism, for conferences and meetings. Quality of life, as Mayor Battle said, that impacts us all. We really enjoy it because we're residents. We live here all the time, but quality of life really resonates well with our visitors. So whenever they come into town, they get to see and do the same things that we get to enjoy as residents.
And there was plenty to see and do.
All of the events and activities at the Orion, the baseball games, and all of those things. Sports tourism is very much on the rise for us. We were just the host for the basketball game with Auburn University.
2023 was a year of music with the Orion for its first full year.
The Orion has really bumped up our level. They recently announced they had over 250 or right at 250,000 people that went to their concerts and activities. So that type of impact is significant. Some, probably the majority, were from this area, but a lot were not. So we're looking forward to even bigger and better numbers with the Orion and all the outstanding music venues we have here in Madison County.
Tourism had a sizable impact on Huntsville's economy and looks to keep building off this year's success.
We're up between 3 and 4% on room night usage. So even though more hotels are coming into the market, there's more people coming to fill those rooms. So we're very fortunate to have the properties that we have. We're looking forward to new properties and even more visitors in 2024.
For Fox 54 News, I'm Ken McCoy.
We now know the time frame for when the public appeal hearings will happen for the officers involved in the shooting death of Steve Perkins. It's where we start. I'm Kenesha Dees. Personnel Board Chairman Dr. Harold Gilmore issuing a statement this afternoon sharing that those hearings are expected to occur next month. The hearing will be public and each of the officers will be able to speak. Chairman Dr. Gilmore adding in part, quote, appeal hearings are generally held in open session in the interest of transparency and room occupancy restrictions will be honored. Also saying in part, quote, these appeal hearings are not a setting for public comment or disruption, and only the participants involved in the hearing process will be permitted to speak, end quote. We now turn our attention to the city of Decatur, where for some in the community, the firing of 3 officers doesn't stop their injustice for Steve Perkins. Perkins was shot and killed by police back in September. A protester spoke about the firing of Decatur Police Chief Todd Pinion, demanding all 4 officers be fired and transparency on the policies violated. This was during the city council meeting this morning. She also spoke on what she says is mistreatment of protesters.
Let's discuss a few hard truths, shall we? So my question to you and to your police chief is, why would Lieutenant Lindley, a man who is a higher rank than Sergeant Pace, come out and give us a paper on Friday night at 10 p.m., speak with us, and not disperse us until 11 p.m. with one other officer? But on Saturday night, when a neighbor called, Sergeant Pace showed up with 7 or 8 of the good old boys at 9 p.m. to pressure, harass, and disperse us with force.
Following this, Mayor Tat Bowling plays a clip of who he says are protesters outside his home on Friday night. Here's a listen.
So that's actually disturbing the peace, and that's not.
Hold on, guys. He's responding. He listened. He's responding.
That's not a peaceful protest, and so we have instructions as to how we're supposed to respond to when it becomes disturbing the peace, and that's what we're doing.
As for the case, 4 of the officers have now appealed their firing and suspension, and the Perkins family attorney filed a federal civil lawsuit last week, including the officers involved and the city.
Mayor Bowling was met outside with protesters who were upset that signs supporting police were placed near a Perkins memorial. Mayor Bowling spoke with the protesters about signs left at Decatur City Hall's doorsteps and said they need to come down. However, he was not sure whether the memorial would need to be taken down as well.
So why would we take down our memorials?
I have talked specifically on signs. I need to find out about the memorials.
Okay, we can. You said the memorials can stay.
I'm not saying that right now. I got to look into that.
After this discussion, protesters are seen removing the signs that support the police. We have reached out to Mayor Bowling asking for clarification on the matter and have yet to get a response.
Well, disruptions to services like power and water happen all the time, but lately, over the course of the last 3 days, 3 water main breaks happened in the Rocket City and Limestone County. Usually a water main break only affects a small number of customers. A number of things can cause water main breaks. Time and change in weather are some of those causes. Huntsville Utilities gives us a bit more insight.
So over time, things shift, things move, including the pipe, and it will break. It's really difficult for us to monitor that because it's underground. So a break happens and crews go out and repair those breaks.
Good to know. Well, Huntsville Utilities reps say to keep an eye out on their social media pages for alerts of a project that could possibly affect individuals with a delay or interruption of traffic.
I have lived in the community since 1984. My parents are from this community, my grandparents from this community. And so I'm just not sure if we would be able to take what they're planning on doing as far as what the blasting is going to take place.
Residents in the Bell Minor area of Limestone County are concerned about what a proposed rock quarry and asphalt plant will do to their neighborhood.
It's a very historical area, and most of the structures, most of the buildings, most of the residential buildings, they are pretty aged. I think there was a report that the blasting could have an effect up to a 5-mile radius. And so right here in Bell Minor, it's in our front door, back door, side door.
Local pastors in the area are asking leaders to understand their concerns.
The county won't return our phone calls. This community is filled with people that are impoverished, and they're also a minority, and they don't have the means to just up and leave if their property values plummet.
The community is coming together to make their voices heard.
Our role tonight in tonight's meeting was we have a lot of local residents that does not have internet access. Luckily, our church does have internet access, and we want to do some online protesting. And so what we've done is we've opened up our doors tonight, invited all the community to come in. We have a letter of protest that they can fill out online, sign it, and have it mailed to different political leaders.
You know, a church is its own community, but first and foremost, it serves the community. And so this is definitely part of our values of our church, and I know the values of New Beginnings to be a place for the community to not only worship, but to gather.
Residents also share the importance of visibility.
We want as many eyes on it as possible so that we can take all actions that are available to us to voice our concerns and to at least know that we are being heard.
For Fox 54 News, I'm Ken McCoy.
The Sandra Moon Complex has now completed phase 3 of renovations, and today's unveiling was a gift that couldn't fit under a tree. Our Ken McCoy has the story.
Councilwoman Jenny Robinson says the goal of the Sandra Moon Complex was to create a community hub. And with the addition of this new park, not only do they have a place to gather, they also have a place to play.
So we have been making lists and checking them twice here at the Sandra Moon Complex.
The residents of South Huntsville are getting an early Christmas gift.
First thing on our list was a library, a really good library where everybody could come and have a good time and learn new things. Can we check that off the list? Yeah, we're gonna check that off the list. Then we had pickleball courts, 12 pickleball courts, new tennis courts. But there is something else. What is it that we need to check off the list here?
That thing, the completion of a new park being opened at the Sandra Moon Complex.
This has been long awaited. There are no playgrounds in this area north of Weatherly Road, so it's a great addition for the neighborhood, but it's also a great addition for the Sandra Moon Complex.
So this is part of phase 3. This parking lot we're standing in, additional parking around our pickleball courts, additional landscaping and irrigation that's out here, and the playground is all in part of phase 3.
Councilwoman Robinson shares how this addition adds to the overall goal of the complex.
For many years, decades, people came to Grissom for events, whether they were sporting events or performances of the band or the choir or the theater, and this now gives us an opportunity to create another community hub where the community can come and gather and enjoy athletics and performances and go to the library.
And there's more to come.
We have the Performing Arts Center that we're going to be working on for the next couple of years. The old Grissom High School auditorium that's going to be completely renovated, new dressing rooms and storage space. We have the 2 gymnasiums that will open. We already have office space for performing arts groups that they've already moved in, the old band and choral space. So there's still a lot to come here.
For Fox 54 News, I'm Ken McCoy.
The Food Bank of North Alabama is opening a new location on Finney Drive in January. It's to meet the increasing rates of food insecurity in the area. Our Jasmine Bird tells us more.
So, the food bank has been at our location on Vernon Avenue since 1990.
As the Rocket City continues to grow, in order for the Food Bank of North Alabama to continue effectively meeting the needs of the community, this can only mean one thing: a new location.
We're really excited to be making this move. It's going to enable us to better serve the community.
Food Bank of North Alabama Development Director Bobby Bozeman says the food bank is moving operations to a new location at the beginning of 2024.
We'll have just a the food pantry here, and then the warehousing and distribution will be at Finney. And we mostly do warehousing and distribution
to other food pantries, soup kitchens, and places like Manor House, Downtown Rescue Mission, and women's shelters.
Over the past few years, we've been seeing an extraordinary amount of need in North Alabama.
Both as a reaction to what happened during COVID and also the inflation afterwards.
But also just as Huntsville's grown, we've just seen an increase in need. People tend to think, oh, it's just a certain sector of the economy that's growing, but anytime you have a city experiencing growth, you're going to see growth across all different sectors, and so there's going to be, more people seeking food assistance as Huntsville becomes a bigger city.
The Food Bank of North Alabama plans to be operating out of the new Finney Drive location by January 2nd, 2024. In Huntsville, Jasmine Bird, Fox 54 News.
Now, Fox 54 Top Teacher, sponsored by Calhoun Community College.
This teacher we're about to meet has a little twinkle in her eye. You'll soon see it's more than the Christmas joy that gets her excited about teaching. It's in her blood. Meet this week's top teacher from Goldsmith Schiffman Elementary School, Tamara Grasham. For fifth grade teacher Tamara Grasham.
My mom says I was certified in the womb.
Teaching is her birthright.
She was a teacher, and my grandmother was a teacher, and both my aunts were teachers.
She comes from a long lineage of educators.
My mom retired as a principal at Morris Elementary.
And for Grasham,
awesome. That's all about family for me.
It's 10 years and counting.
Oh, today's Christmas parties.
It's Christmas every day when she's with her kids.
Just part of being an elementary teacher.
For her, it's the most rewarding.
They're the future. It's the Whitney Houston song. I believe the children are our future, and it's just important to touch their lives every single day.
Just like her mom invested in her, she's invested in them. And a big mama bear, too.
I'm protective of them. I had a student from Ukraine last year, and they came to test her, and the lady was funny because I didn't want to let her go. I was like, where are you taking her? Where are you taking her?
Her principal, Jennifer Douthit, a witness to Grasham's special attention to each child.
She loves with her whole heart, and she works so hard. She cares about every single child and his or her education. She gets to know every single child.
And for fifth grade teacher Tamara Grasham, every single child.
Raise your hand for traveling for Christmas.
You're
going somewhere nice. My mom told me a long time ago, once they make your class list, you may as well have birthed them. And I do. I feel like they're my children. We handle situations. I try to, prepare them for the future. And yeah, those are my kids.
Oh yeah, well congratulations, Miss Grasham. She's definitely Christmas joy personified. We hope you, your kids, and your teachers enjoy the holiday break. Also nominate a teacher at fox54.com. Huntsville City Schools are working on going virtual next year. The district is working on rolling out a new virtual and hybrid school option for the new school year. It's called Artemis Academy. School officials hope it'll offer students and teachers more flexibility with learning.
Artemis Academy will be a full-fledged school. It will have its own principal, its own counselor, and offer special education services as required. It will have a library media specialist. This is just like any other school. It's just in a virtual hybrid, flexible environment rather than a physical traditional classroom.
All right, well, applications open in February. For more information on Artemis Academy, visit fox54.com.
Hey everyone, college athletics is not the only place that's staying busy with reclassification. Here in the state of Alabama, the Alabama High School Athletic Association, well, guess what? They are reclassifying every 2 years based on attendance figures, and lots of teams in the Valley, they're impacted for the fall of 2024. Here's a look at some of the local teams impacted. Ida is moving down to Class 1A. Decatur Heritage, they'll compete in Class 2A for football. Fife is moving up to Class 3A, so they'll be in a region with Sylvania, Geraldine, and Whitesburg Christian, who is also moving up. In Class 4A, you'll see the likes of Hatton, Madison Academy, and Plainview, and then in Class 5A, you'll have Priceville and Brooks. The entire story is on our website, fox54.com.
Today is National Wreaths Across America Day, where volunteers from across the country lay wreaths on headstones of those who've served our country. And here in Huntsville, with it being a military town, we had no shortage of volunteers. On a cloudy and somewhat rainy Saturday morning, over 100 volunteers are seen giving their time and respect to the fallen veterans here at Valhalla Memory Gardens. For many of these individuals, they're no stranger to the military.
My husband and I are both veterans, Army. My father's a veteran, my grandpa, all my uncles and cousins are all veterans.
About 5 years now, Northrop Grumman, along with other local defense companies, have been hosting their own Wreaths Across America event in the Rocket City.
Northrop Grumman being one of the leaders in the defense industry, we are all about supporting the warfighter. In fact, about a third of our employee base are veterans. So it's really part of our culture.
This year, around 1,000 wreaths were donated by local employees, with 800 of them being laid on headstones here.
They're encouraged to really give pause, read the name, think of the person, think of the sacrifice that that person made, and give thanks.
This is Calvin Evans. He was in the U.S. Air Force. He also served in World War II, Korean, Vietnam, and he was also a Brown Star Medal.
It makes me proud that I served in the military just like these people did.
And although these wreaths are laid here today, it's a reminder to honor veterans all year round.
I always taught my kids to always say thank you for the people that have the military hats on, especially Vietnam, because they didn't really get the welcome home that they deserved.
We're well into the holiday season. It's a time of joy for many of us, but can be a difficult time for others. Our Sedona Meadows joins us now. Sedona, you met with the Salvation Army today. They say more people need help, especially during the holidays. What else have you learned?
Yeah, Kanisha, they say they're seeing about a 35% increase in families asking for assistance, and that could be anything from utility assistance or clothing. The Salvation Army is often known for their red kettles and ringing bells during the holidays, but their assistance to the community is really all year round.
We provide basic assistance, rental, utility, food and shelter, emergency assistance, those kinds of things. But we sort of shine at Christmas.
During the holiday season, they host their Angel Tree program, allowing donors to provide gifts and necessities to less fortunate children or seniors.
We would have angels that would hang on a tree that would have the data coded, if you would, for the children, so that you knew that little Mary wanted a doll for Christmas and Billy wanted a bike or a pair of shoes or something like that.
But Major Richard Watts, the commanding officer for the Salvation Army of Huntsville, says this annual Angel Tree tradition is seeing a large increase of need here in the Rocket City.
We've seen in our Angel Tree process a 74% increase in the number of children that we'll be serving this year.
With 35% more families asking for assistance in things like rent or utilities.
The number of families that come to us right now for utility assistance or for clothing, it just seems to get greater each day as people are doing their best to try to make ends meet.
Major Watts says every night they're feeding about 150 to 200 people at their emergency shelter, and that this overall increased need of assistance is felt throughout North Alabama.
In Decatur, at the Salvation Army there, and as well as the Salvation Army in Florence, have all experienced double-digit increases in the requests for assistance.
So Major Watts says donations are greatly appreciated during this holiday season and beyond, but lending a helping hand can make all the difference.
The greatest gift any of us can give is ourselves. And so, yes, we'd like to have your donation, but you know, volunteering, that's a way that you can really give back to the community.
For those needing assistance right now, call 211, where you'll be able to get connected with a local nonprofit or service that can help you.
Even during the bitter cold today, Buffalo Rock, parent company of Pepsi, teamed up with the Salvation Army of Huntsville today. Volunteers from the company ringing bells to raise money for local families. Buffalo Rock has offices and distribution centers throughout Alabama, Florida, and Georgia.
The community is our customer base, so I mean, just to be seen as servicing the community that is our customer base is very important. Thank you very much. Have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas indeed. Well, Buffalo Rock has been delivering refreshments across the South since 1901.
The National Fire Protection Association says fires involving fresh Christmas trees tend to be more common than artificial tree fires. Our Jasmine Bird spoke with Decatur Fire and Rescue about safety precautions to remember. Now, Jasmine, what are some of those tips that we need to know?
Sedona, some of those tips are if you're dealing with a live Christmas tree this year, Decatur Fire and Rescue says the #1 focus to keep your home from bursting in flames needs to be keeping it watered.
So if you're dealing with a live tree, main number one focus needs to be on keeping it watered, properly hydrated.
Decatur Fire and Rescue Lieutenant Brandon Sibley believes the best way to determine your tree's health is by its color.
One of the real key indicators on the health of the tree is going to be the color of the needles. So make sure, it should be a good vibrant green color. That's usually the best indicator to know about your tree health. And like I say, another really important thing is to make sure that the tree's stable so that if a child or a pet were to knock it over, it would have the stability to withstand that.
The National Fire Protection Association says approximately 2 of every 5 home Christmas tree fires started in the living room, family room, or den.
Make sure if you're seeing any brown spots that you either trim that off, make sure that your lights UL protected, make sure that you have no exposed wiring throughout your lights. And another really important factor is to make sure you keep your tree away from any heat sources.
NFPA adds that electrical failures or malfunctions were factors in more than 34% of Christmas tree fires. And in 20% of Christmas tree fires, some type of heat source was placed too close to the tree.
Just like with any other electrical, make sure you've got the proper wiring, and then make sure that you're not overloading your plugs. We always advocate that any lights that are being used on the tree are UL approved. It just gives you more of that safety factor built in.
NFPA also says Christmas tree fires are more common between 3 p.m. and midnight, accounting for 1/2 of associated fires.
Well, as we celebrate the holiday season, we may be getting our family pictures with Santa. But for some kids with sensory sensitivities, it's hard to spend time in big crowds, experience loud noises, or even deal with fluorescent lights. That's why Wellstone, a behavioral healthcare provider, hosted a sensory-inclusive Santa event today at the Church of Nativity in Huntsville, an event Lindsay Chapman founded 7 years ago.
We do this event every year so that they can come in an inclusive, quiet setting and see Santa, get a gift, and just have a really fun day with their family.
These children not only got a special visit with Santa, they also received things like puzzles or Legos, toys that won't overwhelm them. And they got some noise-canceling headphones, too. And as the U.S. Army Space and Missile Defense Command on Redstone Arsenal protects us every day, they're also looking after Santa on Christmas Eve. Our Jasmine Bird takes us to their Santa tracker to see what's on the radar.
So my role today is to ensure Santa's safety and delivering toys to all the children.
Space and Missile Defense Command employee Tamara Bohannon believes this task is not always necessarily the easiest, but it is one of the most rewarding.
You know, children deserve the best. This is a great time of year for us all to come together, to love on each other, to care for each other, and to ensure that we're making the best out of this season.
So what actually goes into tracking Santa? U.S. Army Space and Missile Defense Commanding General Daniel Karbler breaks it down.
So you'll see the operators here on the consoles. They're making sure that they have all their communications right. We can see that we have call sign Santa 6 up there as one of our tracks that we have for the rehearsal. And also this year we have 2 new pieces of equipment that we're bringing into the architecture. We have a couple of low-level yield radars. First one is the hypersonic object low-level yield radar, and then the joint orbit low-level yield radar. So those 2 radars together help us to track Santa even better.
And considering that Santa has to travel about 650 miles per second to ensure that all the children around the world get their presents, this is what it's all about.
This is a great opportunity for Huntsville to see what Space and Missile Defense Command does on a day-to-day basis. We operate these systems 24/7, 365 to make sure that our homeland stays safe. But in this particular instance, this time of year, we also have to make sure that we track Santa and keep him safe.
In Huntsville, Jasmine Bird, Fox 54 News.
And that is that, a look at the week of December 15th through the 21st, through the lenses of the Fox 54 news team. That's also the last week in review of 2023. We're going to take a break through the rest of this month, but we'll be back with new episodes of the Week in Review starting January 12th on Fox 54 Plus, which you can find for free on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV devices. Until then, on behalf of everyone here at Fox 54, we hope you have a joyful and safe holiday season. We'll see you again here in 2024.